President Trump visiting Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas, as the country debates what can be done to end the epidemic of mass shootings. Today on Fox 11 News In Depth, as we hold memorials to mourn the dead, all over America, people are asking, will it ever end? Can we stop the mass shootings that take so many lives?
I saw people in front of me get hit with bullets.
Today we'll talk to victims of previous attacks, the Route 91 Festival in Las Vegas and the Borderline Bar and Grill in Thousand Oaks, as we come to grips with the new normal for life in America. Fox 11 News In Depth starts right now. Hello everyone, I'm Hal Eisner. We hear those words a lot, the new normal. Now they seem to apply to mass shootings. This time we've had 2 in 1 week, and like all the times before, different sides are assigning blame. But the one thing that never seems to change is that nothing seems to change.
I want to know if she's dead or alive or if she's still in Walmart.
Panic and grief in El Paso, Texas. People running for their lives. Just a few hours later, more gunshots in Dayton, Ohio. More people running in fear.
Oh, they're shooting. Come on. Oh.
A week before that, it was Gilroy, California. In the past year alone, there have been so many mass shootings: 12 dead in Virginia Beach, 5 in Aurora, Illinois, 12 killed in Thousand Oaks, 11 at a synagogue in Pittsburgh. When the Parkland school shooting happened last year, many thought it was a turning point. President Trump had a listening session at the White House. Rallies were held across L.A. and across America, including this one in Washington, D.C., where the Parkland students vowed never again.
If you listen real close, you can hear the people in power shaking.
And yet it keeps happening. Some of the shooters target co-workers, but others are white supremacists posting racist manifestos, leading some to blame the president and his rhetoric on Muslims and immigrants. Former President Obama denounced the climate of fear and hatred coming from our leaders. He isn't naming Trump, but others are.
He is a racist, and he stokes racism in this country, and it leads to violence.
Meanwhile, President Trump says he's taken action, banning bump stocks like the one used in Las Vegas and condemning hate.
In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy.
It's hard to imagine what it's like to live through a mass shooting, but today we're joined by 2 people who know that terror firsthand. Tiffany Huizar survived the Harvest Festival shooting in Las Vegas. Steve Campbell was inside the Borderline Bar in Thousand Oaks when it came under fire. So glad you're both with us right now. Tiffany, I want to start off with you because this week we saw President Trump go to El Paso, go to Dayton to find out exactly what was going on and what people felt. He did that when you were in Las Vegas after the shooting there. I was there at the time, and he went to your room. And I want you to tell me what that's like, as we look at some pictures and video of that moment. What was that like?
So the week being there, that was the first time that I smiled, seeing
Really?
someone that genuinely cared and asked how I was and knew people that was there, and asked my parents, like, I don't know how you're dealing with this as a parent. Me being a parent, I don't know how I would be able to do this.
We can see on the monitor the president talking to you. What did he say?
He was asking like how the concert was before and when I knew what was going on and how I got help, and genuinely cared.
There was no politics?
No,
it was
at
straight,
all. It was straight like concern and how are you now and how's the hospital been treating you, and straight concern.
What did you think about the controversy in El Paso and Dayton over his going there?
I think he needs to be there. I think it's good that he's going and to see these survivors also. Like I said, it was the first time I had smiled being in the hospital, so I know what it could bring to survivors like
We should tell people you were shot 3 times.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I was shot in my stomach, and that was the first place I had thought. I only had thought I was shot in my stomach, and while I was trying to receive help from like medical attention, I had realized I was shot in my arm. And then later I realized I was shot in my hand. And
you've had various surgeries since that massacre.
Yes, I had one the night of, and then I had stitches to close my arm and my hand. But I recently had another surgery to remove shrapnel, and There's actually 2 stitches left.
How are you now?
Doing a lot better. I mean, you have your good days and your bad days, but I'm definitely not the person I was in October.
Yeah.
But it's taken a lot of therapy.
It changed you a lot, huh?
Yes.
I want to introduce somebody else that we talked with on Skype earlier this week. One man who really knows the horrors of school shootings in particular is Andrew Pollack. His daughter Meadow died in Parkland. I spoke to Andrew over Skype. He's someone you probably recognize.
How many schools, how many children have to get shot?
You know, to bury a child, there's nothing worse probably on the planet that a parent has to do, or, you know, a loved one, but a kid is just burying a child. It's just, words cannot describe it. And I think of the victims, how they were, you know, gunned down in cold blood. Oh, my daughter was amazing. She was my baby, my only daughter. And she was the most like me out of my 3 children. My daughter was on the 3rd floor in the hallway, where a teacher actually let, after 90 rounds went off, and you could hear those loud rounds, it's a big concussion. The fire alarm went off from all the smoke, and my daughter's teacher let her out into the hallway. There hasn't been a kid or child that burnt in a school fire since 1960. And my daughter's teacher decided to let her out into the hallway where she was gunned down first 4 times and then another 5 times at point blank. She got locked out of the classroom after the teacher let her out into the classroom. So she couldn't get back in, and that's where no one came in to help them, and my daughter was murdered at point blank.
It stops here with this administration and me. I'm not gonna sleep until it's fixed.
I wanted to know the facts of what went wrong. I looked into it. We got a bill passed in Florida. We got gun safety done. We got more armed guards in school, more mental health, more money for hardening. And we have a governor now that put in a grand jury investigation into that school board to look into what went wrong at a bureaucratic level.
That interview via Skype, Andrew Pollack has written a book with much more on Parkland and the shooting there. It's called Why Meadow Died, Meadow being his daughter. Steve, you were at Borderline in Thousand Oaks when the gunfire rang out. What can you tell me about that incident? Where were you and how did you get out of there?
I was at the bar. My best friend just served me a drink and I didn't get out. Everybody else started throwing chairs through windows and just people started running. But next to the bar, there's a little nook where there's a trash can. And so I took a little 18-year-old girl that was her first time there, I'm pretty sure. And we hid next to the bar where the trash can was, and we just kind of bunkered down and put a serving tray over her. So, because I'm a big person, you know, she's a tiny little girl. So I put the serving tray over her, and I kind of like ducked behind the wall. And basically we just saw his laser, and it was low, so I couldn't see him as much, but I could see the laser, and I mean, obviously I heard.
Did you see anybody get shot?
No, so I saw one girl go down, going towards the bathroom, but I didn't see him.
Because you were hidden under the bar.
Because that was the only thing I could see, but I could literally feel him walking behind me, and because he was walking behind the bar.
What do you think about what Andrew Pollack said?
As far as like security-wise, I mean, there's not much more that you can do. As you know, we had 4 or 5 security guards there that night. More security guards isn't gonna help, you know.
Well, what's going to help? What's going to make a difference? That's really the big question right now.
Yeah.
How do we turn the corner on all of this? I
mean, really, we had I think 8 off-duty officers but none of them were carrying. Obviously, we're at a bar, but you know, for security-wise, I don't know what you do at a bar. I mean, people are going to do what they want to do. You know,
yeah, they're going to do what they want to do, but I mean, still, the bottom line is there a way the government can intervene and do something? Either of you. What about you, Tiffany? Do you think the government ought to step in and do something?
Well, as much as I would like to say more security, like he said, there was security at that one, but I know at mine there wasn't as much security. And for example, at the Gilroy Festival, he cut through a fence. Like, shouldn't someone have seen that?
You would think.
Yeah, you would think so.
You would
For
think,
instance,
but see, that's the point, isn't it? That there are a lot more questions now than there were before these shootings happened. And a lot of people would have thought you might have turned the corner on Parkland, you might have turned the corner on Vegas, you might have turned the corner on Thousand Oaks, and yet we're still looking to turn the corner somewhere. Still ahead here on Fox 11 News In Depth. We'll be joined by Tiffany's mother for her perspective on what it's like to have a loved one injured in a mass shooting. You're looking at three friends who survived not one, but two mass shootings. They each survived the first last year in Las Vegas, the other one more recently in Gilroy, California. I talked to one of those survivors, Alicia Olive, via Skype. She was a bartender at the Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. She was also at the Gilroy Garlic Festival when she heard the gunshots there. She told me we need to do something to stop all these shootings.
How many more people, how many children, families, individuals are going to have to die before we do something? At least try. I understand the right to bear arms, and I would carry a concealed permit for a handgun, but these mass shootings are happening with assault rifles. So I'm thinking, what does it hurt if we try a 2-year ban? Try it out. If the numbers don't go down, then all right, it's not the assault rifles, but to say this is America and that nothing, oh, well, that's what, no, we can always do something.
Long-term ramifications there. Joining the group is Tiffany Huizar's mother, Diane. Thanks for being with us. I know you were in Las Vegas at the time the shooting occurred, yes, but you weren't at the concert. Your daughter, Tiffany, and Tiffany's sister were there. What was that like when you heard that there was a shooting where your daughters were?
So I received a phone call from my older daughter that had taken her there for her birthday. And she said, I just need to let you know that Tiffany has been shot. I was laying down, so I wasn't watching TV. I didn't even know what was going on. And I was directly across the street at Luxor. So I was in shock. I said, okay, I'm leaving now. I'll meet you, I'll call you. Before I can get out of the hotel, it was already on lockdown. So I never got out.
And the whole time, you know your daughter's shot. You don't know how many times. You don't know if she's alive. You don't know what's going on.
Well, I did have some communication with both of my daughters. I finally did get a call from Tiffany. Tiffany was able to call us, and we were able to talk to her. She was able to tell us where she went. She was at a fire department, Valley Hospital, UMC. So we were able to follow her where she was at. Right. But to be with her, no, she was all alone by herself. That was the worst, I think, for me. Like, nobody was there to advocate for her. She was in high school, and I didn't think she could talk for herself and say what she needed or how she was feeling or were they taking her seriously. I didn't know.
Here's the question I want to ask all of you. When you heard about El Paso and then Dayton, what did that push buttons? Did that trigger anything? Well, first you, Diane.
Absolutely triggers. Every time I hear something on the news, as a mom and as a daughter that has been shot, you wish it would have happened to you. You know what that parent's going to go through, and it's the worst.
I think I'm hearing your voice a little bit on edge there.
Every time you hear it,
the emotion just wells up.
You know what they're going through.
Yeah. Tiffany?
As a survivor, I know even people that weren't injured, there's like traumatic things they're going to go through, and I know what that road is. I know how long it takes. It's been 22 months, and I still have good days and bad days. So knowing that what they're going to go through is something I've already went through, or I am still going through. So it's really hard to hear that more people have to go through it, because I know how difficult it is.
I'm going to save your answer for the next segment because I want everybody to see something. Some countries have issued travel warnings about the United States because of all the gun violence here. I asked people on social media what they thought about that. Jackie Joseph Lawrence writes, to be perceived as dangerous is heartbreaking. To really being dangerous is a truth that is incomprehensible. Leaders help. And Dale Walker writes, if I heard of a country that had mass shootings the way ours does, I would never go out there to visit. So they are right in warning their citizens, and it's a sad day for us. And Steve, what's your reaction to that?
I mean, to me, I think the media is, we see more of it nowadays than I don't think that they're more prevalent these days. I think that we see more because we have more access to information.
What do you think about other countries thinking that maybe we're a really dangerous place and shouldn't come here? Like our State Department tells us about not going to other countries that are dangerous.
Yeah, I don't think it's any less safe now than it was 20 years ago. I think that it's, I mean, obviously, like, these bad things are happening, but it's totally blown out of proportion. Like, I mean, it's not like you can go places and you're still safe. I'm not afraid to go out. I still live my life every day, you know. I'm not afraid to go live my life. You can't live in fear. But the idea that they're going to come here and then they're probably going to get shot at, like, not likely.
Well, what do you think, Diane? I mean, that idea of other countries being told we're not a safe place to be in.
No, I don't think we're not safe. I think some of our venues that are happening need to change some things, whether it be security, whether it be, I don't know, something has to change. But I don't think people coming from out of the country should fear that something's going to happen.
What we're looking at right now, by the way, what we're looking at right now, there is video from the Harvest Festival that you guys were at. And so your sense of all of this is, here we go again. Does something have to be done?
Yes.
Yeah, something has to be done.
Absolutely. I don't think it's necessarily gun related. I think it's more of a mental health issue. It's not like guns just sit there and whisper into somebody's ear, you should do this. Like, it starts between the ears. And like, I think that's where we're missing.
We'll be right back. One of the proposals President Trump has talked about to stop all of the mass shootings is beefing up background checks, something gun owners we talked with say they support.
You know, as a former law enforcement, it breaks our heart. For anybody in that loves one another and all are humans, when you see another human's life taken, you're gonna be sad. It broke our heart.
Heartbreak at this Riverside gun shop amid the heated debate over guns. In the wake of this weekend's mass shootings, owner Norris Sweden says he wants to be part of the solution.
No responsible gun owner is going to have a problem doing a background for a gun. Absolutely not.
Part of that solution could be expanded background checks, something President Trump said on Twitter he would support. Customers we spoke with today say they are open to the idea.
I mean, it is necessary as far as for safety and whatnot, just knowing the type of person that's getting a weapon nowadays, you know, because you just never know.
There's also increasing bipartisan support for red flag laws, which would allow family members or law enforcement to limit a person's access to firearms if they are deemed a potential threat to the public. Sweden believes identifying dangerous individuals and notifying sellers is one of the primary problems.
You have a society that has there's a mental health issue. People are hating each other. Okay, so we need to fix that solution.
Customers we spoke with are calling for an end to political divisiveness and more constructive discussions.
The best solution is out there. It's just out there. Have we come across it? Apparently not, you know, but I'm here and like I said, like a citizen, you know, I've got the right to bear a gun as well. And you know what, everybody has the right to own a gun, you know, and be smart.
We're back with our guests right now, Steve Campbell, Diane and Tiffany Huizar, Diane, Tiffany's mom. You're a gun owner, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's your feeling about this whole debate without getting into the debate?
I mean, yeah, you can't, I mean, we have our rights, and I don't think taking away our guns is going to solve it.
What do you think about this idea of a red flag sort of?
Oh, I'm all for background checks. I mean, if you shouldn't be afraid of anything if you're a responsible gun owner. You know, if if you don't have anything to hide, it shouldn't even be a question.
Tiffany's nodding her head. You agree with that?
I agree.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, that's where you stop. You know, we talked to people this week and we asked them, you know, if they thought America would ever fix this problem. What do you think, Diane?
Completely fix? No. Make it better? Yes. As far as the gun, it's not the gun that really kills someone. It's the person behind it and the mental stage that they're in. So the background check's going to help. Red flag, you know.
You own a gun?
I don't. My husband does.
Yeah, okay.
Tiffany shot a gun.
Yeah, okay.
My daughters have.
Did what happened in El Paso and Dayton trigger you?
I don't know about trigger, but you definitely, when I'm watching, I was at home all weekend watching the news, and I know exactly what they're going through. You know, you sit there and you're like, you know, it's like you feel for them.
What are they going through?
I mean, you know, they're people at Walmart. I mean, they're in a building. They, you know, everybody else is trying to get a hold of them. They're trying to stay quiet. They're trying to hide. Everybody else is calling their phones, and your phone is. I mean, I had 162 missed calls in 35 minutes.
Really?
In borderline. Yeah. I mean, you know what they're going through. They're trying to hide. They're trying to. You're in like survival mode. You know, and so it's like everybody else is watching on the outside looking in. You know, you feel for their family because I know what my family went through with me.
But when we talk about these triggers, and I just want to point to one example. Times Square. There was some motorcycle backfire and people panicked. The video that we saw, people running every which way because they thought it was gunfire. Are we at a point now, Tiffany, where we don't know what a sound is anymore?
Yeah, I feel like we are, and that's so sad that our society is, and people are just automatically think it's gunfire. That shows that there's something wrong.
It's scary. It is scary. You see those people in Times Square, and I've been in Times Square many times. I've never seen people run like that. All right, we'll be back with a word about our podcast after this. Don't go away. We're going to continue this conversation about America's mass shootings on my podcast, What the How. You can find it wherever you get podcasts, including whatthehowpodcast.com, iTunes, Google Play, and all those sort of places. You know, I want to ask all of you a final thought, and that is, where does it all go from here? What do you want to see happen here? Diane, let's start with you, Tiffany, and finally Steve. Short answers, please.
I don't know. I think it's security at venues.
Well, Tiffany?
I think it's also the mental health tests when buying guns. We need to know who's buying them and what mental state are they in.
All right, so the background check, Steve?
I just want to see people know that guns aren't, I mean, they're dangerous, but they're not, they're okay to have as long as you take the right safety measures, I guess. You know, I don't think more laws are the problem.
Okay.
I think it starts at home.
I want to thank all of you. I really do appreciate your being here. And that's it for this week's Fox 11 News in Depth. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.